Formula One is back and the season has started with chaos in Melbourne. Our hometown hero crashed before the race even began. A 19-year-old was on the podium and Ferrari launched like a rocket ship off the line. And Max Verstappen charged through the field from the back of the grid. The surprises, the strategy calls, and what the new era of cars might mean for the season ahead. Plus, Mercedes dominance, Ferrari frustrations, and predictions for next week's Chinese Grand Prix.
Are you ready?
It's lights out and away we go!
Hello and welcome back to Away We Go podcast, a Formula One podcast that goes beyond the track limits to talk about travel and lifestyle surrounding the sport. I'm your host, Diane Bortoletto, and today I'm in Perth. And I'm joined by our guest from last week, Simone Scanu, who is the co-founder of Formula Live Polls. My regular co-host, Kira, is recovering from getting her wisdom teeth out. So she's nominated Simone to stand in. So welcome back to the show, Simone.
Thank you for having me back. A pleasure.
And I'm delighted to see you wearing a Ferrari shirt. Thank you very much for doing that.
A pleasure. We are so back.
We are so back. It certainly feels like that. Well, we've just had the Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne, which finished just a few hours ago. Australian Grand Prix, obviously, it's at Albert Park. It's been held there since 1996. It's a 5.278 kilometre circuit, a street circuit. They do 58 laps. It's mostly flat. I think the elevation change is like 2.5 metres. And there's 14 corners in the circuit. But that circuit hasn't changed too much over the years. I think they've removed a chicane or something. But what has changed, clearly, is the cars. So this was the first time we saw the cars being competitive in this new era. And it was really exciting to see and kind of surprising with some of the incidents that happened over the weekend. What's your take, Simone?
It's a very interesting era, to be honest. I wasn't expecting to see a race that, to me, was really exciting, to be honest. For some people, I heard that it wasn't that exciting. Some people are disappointed. There is a little bit of a backlash, especially like on all the posts that Formula One is actually sharing on social media. But I don't know. I just don't agree. I really loved the race. I loved the overtaking or attempting overtaking, a lot of defense by Charles and George. Honestly, I can't complain. Then, of course, like you can maybe not like the fact that Mercedes is literally dominating. But besides that, we saw like from the race start, we saw like a very what I call the slingshot start by Ferrari.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was expecting to see. That happened and I was happy, to be honest. I wasn't happy with, strategy and everything at the end, but yeah, proudly I can wear this shirt today because I think that it was a very good race. It's a very good performance for Ferrari, regardless of everything else.
Yeah, well, we should start by just saying that George Russell qualified on pole position in Australia, followed by Kimi Antonelli in second place, which was amazing to see because Kimi had a massive shunt in pre-practice 3. He went off and had a huge accident and they actually didn't even know if they could get the car fixed in time in order for him to participate in qualifying. Big kudos to the mechanics in the Mercedes garage. They worked really hard. I think they only had, was it 3 hours? It might be 4 hours. Sorry, don't quote me on that. But they only had a matter of hours to fix his car and get it ready for qualifying. And then he just needed to do one lap in Q1 to make it into Q2, which he did just by the skin of his teeth. And that was only because really there was a safety car that came out in Q1. And that was for Max Verstappen, who had a massive crash and ended up starting in 20th position on the grid. Yeah, that was really uncharacteristic of, I don't think it was Max's fault. It sounded like a mechanical.
It was probably more electronic, The reason it was behind the fact that, as they said, basically the car needed to recover more energy than was expected. And that's why the car started to behave like that. So the rear axle completely stopped working. And when that happened, you can be Max Verstappen, you can be Lewis Hamilton, whoever, you're just a passenger. There's nothing you can do there.
That's right. Went sideways and crashed into the wall, and that was the end of it. It's really unlike Red Bull and Max. It just goes to show that this new era of cars, they're still getting to learn about them and still getting to know them. So anyway, third in qualifying was Isaac Hadjar, Max's teammate, which is Isaac Hadjar's best qualifying in his career, his first qualifying for Red Bull Racing. And if we go back to last year when he crashed out of Australia in the formation lap and was hugely upset and was crying and then got belittled by that awful Helmut Marko and consoled by the lovely Anthony Hamilton. Yeah, really lovely. Really good to see Isaac Hadjar qualify in third. Then the Ferrari, Charles Leclerc. Oscar Piastri qualified in fifth. Lando Norris in sixth. Good to see Oscar out-qualify his teammate. It's about the only good news we have for Oscar this race. Lewis Hamilton qualified in seventh. Liam Lawson in the Racing Bulls in eighth. Arvad Lindblad, in his first qualifying ever in Formula One, qualified in ninth in Racing Bulls. And then my cousin, Gabriele Bortoletto, with one T, not two, in the Audi, qualified in 10th. So that's the top 10 qualifying, but it didn't start that way, did it?
No, it didn't. Unfortunately, like as you said, like one of the good take was that Piastri started the season out qualifying his teammate, nonetheless the world champion, but during the installation laps, there was a problem with this car. Apparently, this car was deploying more energy than expected, and that's why he touched a little bit of curb, and the moment that he released a little bit of power, it probably was more power than what that he was expecting. Again, he became a passenger as well. So, yeah, he crashed and his race was gone. There was nothing they could do.
I'm glad you said that because it's almost too painful for me to say it out loud. It was just awful. The hometown hero crashing out in the installation lap, like you said, before even reaching the grid, his whole grandstand, they're dressed in Oscar Piastri merch. You could just see everybody's shoulders slump. It was just awful. And I mean, I'm sure really awful for Oscar and his family and his side of the garage as well. Just really one of those unfortunate things and I guess a characteristic of this new era car that all these drivers are going to have to get used to. You know, they haven't had a lot of time in these cars, so they're just unfortunate.
Yeah.
So no Oscar in P5.
Yeah, you might think that they had like a lot of time to test between Barcelona and 2 sessions in Bahrain, but at the end of the day, it was like, it's not a lot, especially when there are changes of regulation this big. I totally understand the disappointment because at the end of the day, this shouldn't happen anywhere in the first place, but especially at your home race. And then it's even more disappointing. I cannot imagine.
Just awful. And just having to front the media after that as well. Oh, yeah. All you want to do is probably crawl into a cave and never come out, maybe with a big bottle of wine and just drown your sorrows a little bit and regroup. But look, I'm sure he'll bounce back. If there's one thing that Oscar is really good at is bouncing back after something negative has happened, and he can take that positive that he was, quicker than his teammate in qualifying. Not by a lot, about a tenth, but a tenth is a tenth. But the race start was like amazing. Mercedes lockout 1-2 on the grid, but with no Oscar in P5, it meant that there was no one in front of Lewis Hamilton in P7. But the race start, the Ferraris just were like you said, they were just like a slingshot, especially Charles. Like, I don't know how he found those gaps. It was like a video game watching him, just go from P4 to lead the pack straight away. It was absolutely phenomenal to watch. And I was screaming at the TV and just absolutely loved it. And then there was a bit of cat and mouse with him and George Russell overtaking each other. One thing that I found frustrating, and I'd love your opinion on this too, Simone, is that the commentators were talking about battery deployment and having to recharge their batteries like we talked about last week and how drivers have to do that. But as viewers, we don't know what level of battery the drivers had. And they ended up putting some graphics on the screen look, it might have only been about 5 times between several drivers. We were in the dark a lot of the time. And, because I was watching the race on catch up, I also couldn't use your app because I wasn't watching it live. So I couldn't, tune into the team radio and read all the transcripts between engineers and drivers just to read what was going on between them. So, yeah, I found it a bit frustrating. I was yelling at the TV going, show us what the battery is. Like, did you feel the same?
I feel the same. But unfortunately, the data exists for Formula One at the moment. It doesn't exist for everybody else. So they're just not releasing that information. They're not even releasing the information about the active aerodynamics, for example. So we don't know when they're opening or closing the wings. Well, like in the past, it was easy because there was like this data. So you knew when a driver was opening or closing the DRS. But at the moment, there is no data for the active aero. There is no data for the battery. There is no data for overtake mode or boost mode. But you can see that with the new graphics, they actually have this data, because when they show the new graphics with the halo, you see active aero, battery level, and so on.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the spectators, they don't have this information at their fingertips at the moment or whenever they want. For example, in Formula E, you have it on the timing column. You have it there. You can see actually the percentage of battery of the driver. But for Formula One, I think they are still testing. It's still a testing ground for them. So before releasing the data, they are probably like just making sure that everything is working correctly. So it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, my husband said something similar that, like, give them time. I'm like, they've known about this new generation of cars for ages now. Like, they should have had this all ready to go. Like, anyway, I'm not very good at being patient, and I found that really frustrating as a viewer, not having that data on the screen in the broadcast. So let's hope that the broadcasters get better at sharing that data with viewers and that they release it so apps like yours can incorporate that data for users. Yeah, I hope so. That would be really, really good to have. And what's your take? I mean, did you enjoy the race? Like, how did you feel watching the Australian Grand Prix?
I really enjoyed it. Like, I loved the fight. There were like those 10 laps where, Mercedes and Ferrari, they were fighting. Then Lewis was catching up. And then Antonelli again was catching up after like a very bad start from Antonelli. But yeah, I was expecting that kind of start by Ferrari, because they were known for this since the test. They actually had to change the race start procedure to actually accommodate the other teams, because otherwise Ferrari would have destroyed them completely, at least in the start. But race pace wise, I didn't see a lot of differences between Red Bull, also McLaren, Ferrari, and Mercedes. They were quite on the same race pace, but again, we don't really know the real potential of Mercedes. I think they were just like, yes, at the beginning they were playing cat and mouse, but when they were both in free air, I think they were just managing. I don't think they were pushing quite a lot. And at the end, they finished the race with 16 seconds of gap. But at the end of the day, again, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the fact that a rookie like Harvey Lindblad qualified in the top 10 and finished in the top 10. That was probably my highlight.
Yes, that was really great to see as well. And in Racing Bulls, they're not known to be a top team or the best of the rest. I thought that was a brilliant result by him, and he should take a lot of comfort in that. In fact, he finished in 8th and his teammate Liam Lawson finished in 13th. And Liam Lawson's had, a season and a bit ahead of Arvid, who's just 18, such a youngster. I was really impressed watching him in an interview, actually. He speaks really well, quite considered answers. He's quite an impressive man. Yeah.
These young drivers, they feel that they're really well trained in terms of PR. Not only Lindblad, but also like in Formula 2, I was watching like the Formula 2 press conferences. And when these drivers talk, they're so well prepared. So I'm like, wow, I'm surprised. Like Formula 1 drivers with a lot of expertise, they're like probably saying a few words, but they really want to talk and they're really good.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. The two Mercedes, George and Kimi, started in 1-2 and finished in 1-2, even though they had a few changes of position during the race, and Charles Leclerc finished in third. So he rounded out the podium. So that was fantastic to see Ferrari back on the podium. And Lewis Hamilton was actually catching Charles Leclerc towards the end. I think Lewis was really hungry for his first podium and also hungry to start the season strong for Ferrari. Didn't quite get there, but finished in fourth, had a really brilliant race, I thought. I thought he drove really well. Lando Norris finished in fifth. Max Verstappen, hang on a minute. Oh, yeah, Max, who started at the back of the grid. Sorry. Max, who started in 20th, finished in sixth place. I just threw myself then because I was like, what? No, Max, yes, he did. He just overtook the field. Max did Max and just finished really well. I had a brilliant race, actually. Couldn't fault it. Ollie Behrman in seventh in the Haas. Harvard, as we spoke about, Lindblad, eighth in Racing Bulls. Gabriel Bortoletto finished in ninth in the Audi. Fabulous work. And Pierre Gasly in Alpine finished 10th. Yeah, we had a few did not start. Oscar Piastri, who we talked about. Also, Nico Hülkenberg didn't start because there was a problem with the comms. He didn't have any comms and they tried to fix it and they couldn't fix it. I don't know if there was anything else wrong, but I think that's probably a safety issue why they didn't run that. And then DNFs, yeah, we had Isaac Hadjar, whose car just stopped, just conked out. I don't know what happened there, but he lost power and ended up having to pull over. Valtteri Bottas, same thing. He just stopped. And Fernando Alonso in the Aston Martin. Now, we'd known since testing that there's been big issues with the Aston Martin. They've been really open and upfront about that they don't have any spare batteries, that there's an issue with the Honda power unit. It felt like Aston Martin used the Australian Grand Prix as a bit of a test session because Lance Stroll finished, well, no classification is what he got, but he was 15 laps behind. So he went into the garage. I don't know what they did when he went in the garage. He was in the garage for 15 laps and then came back out. And Fernando Alonso did something similar, went to the garage for many laps and then came back out. I suppose it makes sense to use it as a bit of a test session. They didn't get a lot of test time and they've got issues that they've got to sort out with the car.
They definitely used it as a testing ground. In their interview, I think it was Lance Stroll that has been asked, well, at least you raced a little bit. And he said, well, I don't think that was racing. That was more circulating, as he said. So, yeah, it was stationary on the pit lane for something like 15 laps, from lap 36 or something. And then immediately after 15 laps, he just came out again to do like some more laps and finish the race. We don't know why he went to the pit for 15 laps. Probably like either he needed some rest, I don't know, or just because there was something wrong with the car, he had to fix it.
They've talked about the vibrations, haven't they, with the Aston Martin, that if the drivers did any more than something like 25 laps, that they could endure permanent nerve damage, which sounds horrendous and an unnecessary risk for them to take with their drivers. And I'm sure no driver would want to take that risk either. I don't know what's going on with that car, but let's hope that they can get it sorted before the Chinese Grand Prix next week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually really, really surprised that after they mentioned something like this is kind of like very alarming, you know, and I'm actually surprised that I didn't see anything by the FIA saying like, okay, this is a security concern. We have to investigate this. It didn't happen. It's actually just Aston Martin doing their own thing and say like, we don't know if we can race for more than 25 laps. It's quite concerning, also disappointing, to be honest. I was expecting a lot more from them.
Yeah, I think everybody's been expecting a lot more from Aston Martin. I mean, they have been talking up Adrian Newey for 18 months now, and you know, it sounds like it's an engine problem, not an aero problem, which is Newey's area, but he's TP now, so it's all his area.
Well, they were kind of bouncing the fault back and forth. Honda was like complaining about the fact that Adrian Newey last minute change in aerodynamics or the shape of the car was basically slowing them down with the engine, and then vice versa, the vibration are the problem, according to Adrian Newey. So okay, whatever, guys.
Yeah, they need to somehow find some common ground and work together and fix it. They just have to get it fixed, or they're going to have a horror season. Anybody else in the race that you would like to talk about? I mean, Williams were really unimpressive.
Williams, I think they're still struggling with finding the right balance with the car. What we have seen, what they said is the fact that the car is still kind of like overweight, so they couldn't really extract any pace from the car. And obviously, also the fact that they were suffering from some reliability issue sometimes just doesn't help because you cannot get any data from it. So yeah, disappointing, but I truly believe that they can find their sweet spot at some point, like they did last year. They can get podium. They have a Mercedes engine after all, even though it doesn't mean anything, as you can see from all the other Mercedes engine teams at the moment. Let's see.
McLaren run a Mercedes.
Yes, the Alpine.
Alpine run the Mercedes. Okay. We're recording this today on Sunday, some hours after the race, and it is International Women's Day. So I wanted to give a shout out to all the women who follow Formula One, all the women who work or have worked in Formula One and blaze the trail for others to follow. Thank you very much. And give a shout out to creators. Now, there's a few female creators that I follow and I've really enjoyed their content. The Paddock Journal is one. It's a brand new international magazine that's being published, and it's like a Formula One adjacent magazine. They talk about everything around the sport, but not the races itself as such. And it just looks like a really beautiful publication with some really thought-provoking articles written by some fantastic Formula One journalists. Shout out to Esme Buxton, who is the founder of the Paddock Journal. Shout out to Paddock Passions. Hilarious memes, always fun content on Instagram. I'm always commenting on the post, either laughy face or really enjoy follow Paddock Passions. Also, Tiggy It's Paddock Project. She's another podcaster. Started off as a podcaster with her two best friends, and now she just does it on her own. She tends to talk more about the business side of Formula One and the sponsorship. And Tony Cohen-Brown is another creator who actually came to Australia. She was part of Glamour on the Grid, which is something that the Australian Grand Prix does on the Wednesday night, where everybody gets dressed up to the nines and they have a red carpet and photos and a function and whatnot. She also does some really great content. So I'll put links to those creators in show notes so you guys can follow. Now, the leaderboard. The leaderboard in Away We Go F1 prediction tracker. Nobody scored particularly well. I think we had 6 people who picked George Russell to win, and that's it. And then we had another 5 people who picked Charles to finish in third. I'm on 0. I have not scored 1 point. So Oscar going out of the race has really thrown a spanner in the works. It's still really wide open. If anybody hasn't signed up yet, I would say sign up. Now, I haven't checked my score on your prediction tracker yet on Pulse Picks. Yeah. How's it looking?
No, not good for me. Not good for me. I think I scored like 30 points over basically what I put all my money on Ferrari basically, and I didn't really like it paid well for something. I think the majority of my points came out of the fact for the fastest lap I picked Max, and that had actually paid off. We have a few players that are actually like in first, second, and third position that they scored good points. So absolutely shout out to them because they predicted really well, especially betting on Mercedes, and was the right move.
Definitely. I didn't even pick Mercedes in any of my predictions, and no one playing along on Away We Go's prediction tracker picked Kimi Antonelli. So I went and had a look at everybody's predictions. No one picked Kimi Antonelli, and he finished second. Just goes to show, I'm just looking at my results on Pulse predictions on your website. 0, 0, 0, 0. I'm on 0. So it hasn't started very well. Again, no, I'm actually on 10 points. When did I score?
No, 10 points.
10 points. Because I said there'd be 3 DNFs. Oh, did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
I got something right. But yes, I put all my money on Ferrari and Oscar.
It wasn't a bad choice after all. I was on the Ferrari train. So unfortunately, the strategy didn't pay off. But at the end, we were so close.
They didn't hit during the safety car, during the virtual safety car. Like, how could they? Yeah, that I feel like that was a bit of a mistake from the Ferrari camp. I mean, both Mercedes pitted during the virtual safety car, which I think came out on lap 12. Then George Russell and Kimi Antonelli both stayed on those hard tyres till the very end, so they didn't need to go in and pit again. A lot of other drivers did 2 pit stops. If they'd pitted then, would they have been able to stay out? I don't know. We don't know, but it just seemed like a missed opportunity to me.
Yeah, after the first virtual safety car, I think there was Hamilton that expressed a little bit of concern that it was like at least one of us should have come in, but it didn't. And then when there was the second virtual safety car, because of Valtteri Bottas, they couldn't pit because the pit lane was actually closed because he stopped literally at the entry of the pit lane. So
That's right.
I think Vasseur said they were unlucky on that point of view, but he definitely doesn't regret the strategy that they did because to be realistic, they said that they couldn't outpace Mercedes according to their data. But I mean, at least you could have fought for,
Yeah, they did finish in 3rd and 4th after Mercedes. So, it wasn't a terrible result for Ferrari, a pretty good start to the season. Yeah, just at the time, though, it really did feel like a missed opportunity. After seeing Ferrari in free practice 1 do so well and just perform really well in those free practices, I was just like, yes, Ferrari's back. Like, finally I can say it. And now, look, what did Kira call it? Ferrari anxiety. It's a real thing. I'm feeling it. I don't want to get my hopes up because I just don't want them to get crushed again because it's happened so many times. How are you feeling?
One step at a time. I think like Ferrari is just like one step at a time kind of team. Before they were like lacking with the strategy and then with the pit stop. Now they have a good car. Pit stop went really well. Okay, we need to work a little bit on the strategy. But, it's really hard to have the full package working. Mercedes they won 8 titles in a row. So, I mean, they know how to do it.
They do. Lewis has got his new race engineer, but I only heard him say once to him, leave me to it, don't talk to me, during the race, which is promising, considering it felt like he had a lot of communication issues with his last race engineer.
Yeah, it looks like at least when Lewis is asking something specific, this engineer is able to actually give him the information that he needs. Like in the past, like Adami is a great race engineer, but I think one of the problems that Ferrari had in the past few years was not having an English speaker engineer. And that is something that broke the communication between Adami and Hamilton last year. There were so many occasions where there was like no communication at all because Hamilton was asking for something and Adami was telling him literally something else. And like, this is not what I asked for.
No, it just felt like they did not gel at all. It felt like they were singing from different song sheets last season. It felt like they had no harmony between them. Let's hope that this season is different for Lewis. Next week, we're off to China, to Shanghai for the Chinese Grand Prix. So there really is no rest for the teams. They'll be travelling straight there from Australia. We're in race week already. It's race week again. So they'll start practice on Friday. All right. So next week, who are you predicting for the Chinese Grand Prix, Simone?
Very hard to say, but definitely China is a complete different track. We've seen that Australia was a really good fit for Mercedes, for the Mercedes engine, especially. Mm-hmm. China could be a little bit different. I mean, we have seen the last year, actually, Ferrari was really good in China, especially on the sprint race. Then in the race, they've both been disqualified for, okay, I don't really want to say anymore, but I think China could be potentially a very good testing ground for Ferrari. I still believe that there is something that they can extract from the car that can actually surprise us.
Well, I might be putting one of the Mercedes drivers in my top 3 now after Australia. It's going to be hard to go past Oscar Piastri, putting him in the top 3. I think he will bounce back. I reckon Charles might take it. Yeah, Charles, Oscar, George. That's who I'm saying.
The rule of thumb is just like don't trust the practice sessions because we've seen that it just doesn't work. Just focus on quali, focus on the race, but mostly on quali. But practice session is just like kind of useless at the moment because everybody can just like hide when they want.
Yeah, normally in previous seasons, I don't even bother to even look at the practice sessions because that's exactly what they are, practice sessions. They're practicing, they're testing different fuel loads, they're testing different tyres, different setups, so many variables that we're not across as viewers as to what they're doing. So we don't get the full picture. This new era of cars, I guess I'm way more invested in the free practice because we haven't really seen much of the cars. But you're absolutely right. We can't read it too much into the free practice sessions. All right. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you very much, Simone, for coming on to Away We Go podcast and having a chat and filling in for Kira. I hope she's feeling much better after having her wisdom teeth out, and hope to see her back next week.
That was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. If you guys have liked what you've listened to, please subscribe to the podcast. Hello, if you're watching on YouTube. The statistics show that only about 10% of listeners of this podcast actually subscribe. So if you're one of them, please hit the subscribe button. It really helps the podcast get more eyeballs. We're also on all the social media platforms. You can connect with us at Away We Go, or send us an email at hello@awaywegopodcast.com. Thank you very much, everybody, for having us in your ears. Until next week, and until lights out.
And it's lights out and away we go.
Away We Go podcast is produced by Diane Bortoletto.